Nintendo Switch is finally here. I've had a couple days to play with Nintendo's new console. This is going to replace the Wii U, its home console that hasn't done that well. This is a console that can both do home gaming and portable gaming, as you can see here. We've played with it a couple of times, but after spending a couple days with it, I'm even more impressed with what Nintendo is doing here. It works really well as a portable console, but also fantastically as a home console as well. This is it in mobile form. And we also got a couple accessories too. You can also take out the controllers, put them in these things, the Joy-Con grip. So the key to the Switch is really this tablet here. It's basically just a very powerful tablet. You can remove the controllers and put them into the other controller accessories down here. It also has a kickstand, so you could just set it up on a table and game with the two controllers in your hands, which is it's kind of a new experience. Reminds me of the Wii a little. A lot of different scenarios you can have for gaming here too. We could also just slide them into the Joy-Con grip accessories. And what I really like about this is Nintendo has clearly paid a lot of attention to just snapping in these things, and now it's a traditional controller. Reminds me a lot of the Wavebird actually. Feels good as a controller like this. For pro gamers, if you want something more special, there's also the Pro Switch controller. This is $70, but this is much more traditional. Feels like what we've seen from Nintendo before with the Wii and the Wii U. So the only game I've had to test so far is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. All the Nintendo Switch's games come on these game cards, which is kind of reminiscent of the 3DS and DS. No more optical media. Makes a lot of sense because this is a device you're going to be moving around with. And honestly, these things can store a lot of data at this point. It goes in right on the top of the Switch. The Switch itself has 32 gigabytes of memory, but there's also a micro SD card slot under the kickstand there, and you can plug in really, really big cards to expand that. And here we go. We're looking at pretty basic software at this point, so the Switch home screen is just a line of icons for the software we'll be installing, some shortcuts at the bottom. We don't have access to the online capabilities yet, we don't have access to the eShop, so this is a lot of stuff we'll be hopefully seeing more about next week. But let's go ahead and play Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. The Switch has a 6.2-inch 720p screen. It looks really good indoors. It's very bright, very sharp. Outdoors, it's a little more problematic. I've had trouble seeing it even in cloudy days. This is Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, Nintendo's probably the biggest launch game the console is going to have. And honestly, after playing it for many hours, it's the most impressive Zelda game I've seen in a long while too. It's much more open world. It really changes the formulas quite a bit. We can't say too much about the game at this point. It's a lot more like other open world RPGs. It reminds me a lot of Skyrim. You can equip weapons, you can cook food, you can hunt for things. Very different take on Zelda, but the real key here is that you can play it here. This is a full-size game, you're not losing anything. You could walk it over to your TV and plug it into the Switch dock, and it'll just become a traditional console game that you can control with just these Joy-Con grip controllers down here, or the Pro controller. Overall, I'm impressed with the Switch, but Nintendo still has a lot to explain about this console. I would love to see online features before our full review is ready. But for now, keep an eye out for our full coverage next week.